Hey fam, I hope you are enjoying this Will to Rise marathon that we're having today. And now it is that time, honey. We are premiering, yes, part 4 of the Will to Rise, How to Persevere in the Face of Adversity. I am loving this series. I hope you're enjoying as much as I enjoyed, and I'm sure we'll enjoy providing it to you. This is part 4. Uh, Without further ado, let's go. Michelle Franklin, Mrs. Michelle D.I., honey, why for divine intervention, honey? Because there are no coincidences in this world, only God's divine intervention in our lives. And Miss Community Builder, why? Because you know your girl is always giving you the good information, the things that you need for your mind, your body, your spirit, and those good emotions, honey. It is 2024, and it really should not have taken this long, but it did. It took us this long to get our schedules together, honey. But I have a very special guest, my brother from another mother, Mr. Haitian Sensation himself. We are continuing our talk on his series, honey, the series, The Will to Rise, How to Persevere in the Face of Adversity. If you don't have the book, where you been, boo? We've been talking about this for the past 6 months. Where you been? Go get the book. It's not too late. It's still available on Amazon. But today we are continuing our talk with Mr. Will to Rise. His story is amazing. It is inspiring. Y'all, I was reading this book, and one of the things that truly helps me and helped me when I was going through and in my very intentional healing journey was the vulnerability of a man's story. And that is the thing that I love so much about this book. There is the vulnerability, the transparency, the honesty that is in this book is so inspiring. It is trajectory altering, guys, to help you to shift your mindset. It is for men. It is for women, honey. It's for everybody involved. Anybody that has their mind ready to change, this is the book that you want in your life. And so I'm going to bring my friend up to the stage, Mr. Will to Rise. How
What's
are
going?
you?
And listen, it's been a hot minute
It's
since
been too
we,
long, friend. It's been too
so
long.
you and I haven't, have a time, and we will always have a good time,
Yeah,
even though some of the story can be, triggering
I
and
know.
frightening and
I
downright
know.
just
I
crazy.
know.
But you know what? I always love, when I come up and we just pretty much, I call it a hot session. It's honest. It's a hot session. It's
It
honest,
is.
open, and transparent. That's
Yes.
what we do. We do no
Yes.
less than
Yes.
that. We let it raw,
Yes.
and that's what we're about to do tonight. So I can't wait to really get into this great conversation. I have no idea what we're going to be talking about tonight. So listen, I am willing and able and ready. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it done.
This is one thing that I really love about this man. He trusted me, y'all. He trusted me. I said, I read the book, and he said, listen, we're not going to do any pre-questions or any pre-interview. Whatever your thoughts were when you were reading the book, whatever your questions were, that's what we're doing. And that is what we have done so far. If you haven't seen the first part 1, 2, and 3, honey, go over to the YouTube channel. It is available. But we're continuing on with part 4 tonight. We are on chapter 9, discussing chapter 9, Finding Faith is where we are. And so, again, this book is amazing. Listen, I have highlights, and did you see I
Wow.
have stuff highlighted all through, and questions I write on the side and the back throughout. I'm underlining. And so, chapter 9 is Finding Faith. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. Um, This is God sent an angel. I'm just going to read a little excerpt here, okay? It starts off by saying, I decided to move out of that town to start over because that area was highly racist. This is, when you were separating. Besides, after my this is before the marriage, excuse me. Besides, after my 2 jail terms and failed relationships, it seemed like a good time. I moved about 30 minutes away to a more diverse area and returned to my old job at the grocery store since my arrest made it hard to find a new job. And I put in here, God sent an angel. Because you said one day this lady who also worked there in another department approached me and said, I want to invite you to my church. Come on, Jesus. How many of us know when we're like in this dark place, God will send us an angel, won't he?
Yes, yes. And the angels you're gonna send are not always gonna, wear, with wings and flying. It could be just regular folks, just you and I. And if we're not in tune with our spirit, it's gonna go right by us and not even noticing what's going on. So definitely.
I think that's why this is so significant, because when you are healing and you get intentional about healing, and even when you're not all the way paying attention, God always sends you some signs, y'all. And so this is your pay attention moment. You said most people called her auntie. This was not the first time she had asked me, but I'd always made excuses not to go because I wasn't interested in attending church. I would avoid her in the store, keep my head low when I saw her coming, and ensure I didn't go on break while she was there. You was making sure.
Oh, I was making sure she wasn't getting to me. Absolutely.
You said eventually I couldn't avoid her any longer. It was an inconvenience for me. So I gave in. I knew I needed help and guidance, but at the time I refused to admit that to myself, let alone to a stranger. That is the powerful part right there. I knew I needed help, but I refused to admit it to myself, let alone a stranger. We will avoid, won't we?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. Even to our own detriment, we will avoid it because when we have to face it,
yes,
that means we have to do something about it. Ignorance is bliss, right? So what I don't know don't hurt, but do I not really know it? I mean, in the back of my mind, I know there's got to be something, but I wasn't ready to face it. Yeah. And that's the vulnerability. That's the vulnerable part of it is, am I ready? Am I willing to do something about it? So if I play like I don't know, then I won't feel any type of way towards making that decision because I can always play ignorance. I don't know. So for anybody who's listening, if you know that something is wrong, if you know that something got to change, that doesn't necessarily it's wrong, but you know something got to change.
Yes.
Because the pain of remaining the same is more than the pain of change. Let me repeat that again. The pain of remaining the same is more painful than the pain of change, because sooner or later, I mean, if we want to change something, we got to change something. And I knew that I needed to change something, and that has to start with me, and that change, and nobody else was going to do it for me, and I had to do it for myself with the help of the Holy Spirit. And 20 years later, here I am, and I'm still going through that change. And that small decision that I made, it seemed like a small decision at the time, but now 20 years later, I'm still reaping the benefit of making that decision that day and knowing that I needed help and I need to confront my fear. It was fear.
I love that. Fear will drive your life. It's one of those subconscious strongholds that you don't even know. But fear, it creeps in like it's your friend, I feel like at first. It creeps in like it's going to protect you, and it does, right? It protects you from the things that you don't want to do, from the things that you need to do. And then it takes over. It has that subconscious, it has a takeover spirit. And so at that point, it had taken over your life pretty much.
Oh, absolutely. And fear is probably the most devastating thing that could happen to someone. Worse than drugs, worse than any sickness, any disease. Fear, because the thing is, it's not seen, right? I mean, if you're taking drugs, if you're addicted to drugs, at some point it's going to show up, right? If you're sick, at some point it's going to show up. But fear doesn't show up. It only shows up in your subconscious and the action that you're taking. And I'm telling you, fear, I mean, as you know, fear has two meanings, right? We can face everything and rise, right? Or we can face everything and run. It's up to us, right? But most of us would rather run than rising up, because rising up means it requires strength. Rising up means it requires an action of you. Whereas whereas if you run, then we don't have to face it. But there's only one problem with that, is that wherever we go, we'll take ourselves with us. So that whatever it is that we fear is not out there, it's inside. So we're gonna keep running for the rest of our lives, because we cannot run away from our lives, right? So when I came to that conclusion, or that understanding, and realized, what was I running from? I can't run away from myself. So every day that I have to face myself, so might as well stay exactly where I'm at, face that, and then begin the journey, begin the changes. And then, you know what? It was very painful. Just like if you have any type of wound and it's been infected. And I was infected for 30 some odd years, right? For 30 years, I wasn't infected. But in order for me to heal, I know that I had to rip the Band-Aid and I had to clean that wound in order for it to properly heal. And once again, we cannot heal what we don't reveal. And I had to reveal whatever it is that was hurting me in order for me to begin the process of healing.
This chapter is really, really significant, because you had some questions for God in this chapter.
I sure did. I sure did.
Questions for God. You said, I had always had some belief in God, but beyond that, I didn't know what to believe in. I didn't have a reverent fear, but rather a fear of punishment. And people tried to force religion and spirituality down my throat and expected me to swallow without understanding it. That's very significant. I think a lot of people feel that way. It is the forcing, of, just God to fix it. Just pray about it, or take it to the altar. And what again? What?
Right.
But why is this happening to me? I don't understand. What's going on?
It is very religious. It has nothing to do with faith. It has nothing to do with spiritual. It's very religious. And when I came, throughout my healing, and I was looking at the cross at some point, and I look at the cross and I realized it's ironic, but the cross looked like, vertical and horizontal. And I'm like, okay, vertical is meant to God, but vertical is meant to man. So God is not just wanting, because if God wanted me to heal by myself, then there wouldn't be anybody else on the planet Earth. I would be by myself, right? So God wanted us to have some type of relationship. And I always say relationship our soul need relationship. Without relationship, our soul die. We need a relationship. So for some religion or religious people to say, well, just go pray about it. Just let me tell you something. If I jump off of a building, I don't need to pray about it to know that I'm going to fall and I'm going to die, because God created the law of gravity. So a lot of things that we waste our time praying, we just wasting our time, because God is not going to answer certain prayer. I'm not going to ask God, please God, do not let me die if I jump off a building. It's a law of gravity, and that God cannot violate his own law. So there are certain things that we pretty much wasting our time when we could just go to God, or when we could just follow God's law. We're going to just follow what the Bible says. But because we have been brainwashed for so long, and we think that everything has to go to the altar, everything has to be, and I'm not, minimizing going to the altar, and I'm not minimizing, praying, but at the same time, knowing that I could pray all day to find a job, but if I don't get my CV ready, if I don't go and pass out my CV and go to interviews, I will never get a job. Now I could sit here and blame God for it, but I got to get up and do something about it. Now I can pray on the CV as I'm, my resume, as I'm going and give it to the job or sending out by email, but I still got to do something. So even the Bible says faith without works is dead. Yeah. But too often we are just sitting here waiting for God to do something when God is waiting on us to make the move so he can show up and show out.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness. That's so important. I think a lot of people are like, well, God ain't doing nothing. I've been waiting. What I they blaming him, right? They
Right.
blaming God. And it's like, seriously, but what are you doing? So I love that. It is faith without works. So you have to, take a step. He'll take two, but you have to take one. I think speaking to the hypocrisy that exist in Christianity is one of the things that keeps people from the church. You talked about as you grew older, everything I heard about church was negative. The priests and pastors abusing kids and all kinds of terrible things. You said then there was my mom's brand of Christianity. I felt that my mom was a hypocrite because while she wanted me to attend church, she didn't go to church herself. A lot of parents send their children to church. And as an adult, like I feel like that might have been because they just wanted a break from the children. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
they just wanted a break. But she wanted me to go because she didn't want me to hang around the neighborhood and get into trouble. I didn't particularly appreciate how she went to work on Sundays to get overtime for money. This part, but it says back then I felt that if I went to church, I had a right to expect things from God. I love this. However, when I was there, I wasn't truly there. Sometimes I slept. Other times I talked. I talked in church. I didn't understand the importance of attending church and connecting to God. That part right there, I think, is where a lot of people, the disconnect. You know what I mean? Because some people, it's an autopilot thing. You know what I mean? They just go to church on Sunday, but there is no relationship there. And so I want you to speak to the difference of kind of when you realized that, because it's like in this process, you're realizing, oh, I've been going to church, but I haven't really been connecting, right?
Right. But for me, it was a ritual.
Autopilot with it.
Right. It was ritual. It wasn't spiritual. It was ritual. So something that I have to do on Sunday morning. You have to be at church no matter what. You go to church. And I did it because because of fear, and not the right fear, not fear of fear of going to hell or fear of not pleasing God, right? That kind of fear. Instead of having fear, instead of going to church because it was a moment with me and God, and I could have had that moment at any given time, but the Bible talks about being in the, where two or three gather, He's in the midst of us. It's called corporate worship, which is in the Bible. But I didn't understand that. I think it's just something that you have to do because that's what you were supposed to do. And I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for other people. But I can understand people with the sentiment of now that they get older, they're no longer under their parents' care or under their parents' leadership or whatnot. They decide not to go to church anymore because church has been something that been forced upon them and not willingness. And even God don't force us to do anything, let alone our parents still force us to do anything. And on top of it, the hypocrisy, they will go to work and give us excuse that, hey, they got to go to work, but me, I got to go to church. So, but I can, and to their credit, they thought that they were doing a great things because they want to keep me off the street. But guess what? Church couldn't keep me off the street. I had to have the willingness to stay out of the street, but church couldn't keep me out of the. I had to come to that understanding, and I had to make that decision, and only me, only I could make that decision. God couldn't make it for me. So, as a father now, as I'm raising children, even though I don't have them full time, but when I do have them, I want them to understand that there's a higher power. I want them to understand that the air in the lungs that they breathe, the organs, the body, and everything else is orchestrated by a creator, and that creator is God. I want them to understand that, at least to give them the basic foundation of who they are and why they're in this earth, what the purpose is. But other than that, my job is to watch over them and to be there when they need me. But other than that, the rest is up to God, because I'll come to realize that I'm just a steward of the children. They are not my children. They're God's children. They came through me, but they did not come from me.
Yeah.
And that's what really helped me to understand that even though my children are not with me on a regular basis, but I can pray to God that can be there with them 24/7. Even if my children were with me full time, I still couldn't be with them 24/7. But I
Yeah.
know a God that can,
Yes.
because He is all powerful, He's omniscient, He's omnipresent. So that gives me comfort. That gives me safety knowing
Yes.
that God is there.
Yes. I think it's such a beautiful thing when you're young, even, just going through a spiritual journey and you realize that, oh, they were sending me to church not because they were just trying to have me something, but it's something with this God thing.
This
Oh,
God thing, right?
he's not just for Big Mama and them, or he's not just for my grandmother, he's not just for the older people, but he really does. In here, you talk about you said the pastor spoke about repentance and baptism. You said you begin to understand more about it, and you said they started singing Amazing Grace. Those
Hmm.
words are so powerful. And tears started falling down my face again. The lyrics took hold of me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. He said that song hit me like a ton of bricks. Even today, when I hear it, I want to feel the world. I want to feel the word of God. I put that song on. Whenever you want to feel the word of God, you put that song on. There's something about a song and the words too, to just make a difference in that spiritual journey. So tell me a little
And,
bit about that amazing.
yeah, and I want to just mention something. What you just talk about, there's certain words about the song, but the opposite could be true. That's why we have to be very careful what we listen to, because it can actually alter our brain, how the way we think, the way we process it.
Yes.
Um, Songs are not just there for feel good, but also it make you realize when you take on those words and you apply them personally, not just as a corporate worship or whatnot, but you have to feel those words for yourself where you are in your life, and make you realize that my life is not my own. And those words also make me realize where I've been, where I'm at, and where God wants to take me. So for me, it was just a reminder of who God is and who I am, and how limited that I am, and how limitless God is. So that's what it's all about. And anytime that I feel, to be honest with you, anytime that I feel sad, I feel like I can't pray, I will listen to song,
Yeah.
because it will help me,
Yeah.
right? It will remind me of who God is and what He has done for me. So it's really about that song. It's always going to be something that really help me or remind me or bring me, just like bring you back to memory lane and
Yeah.
realize, remember where you've been. Remember I was there with you,
Yes.
and know that I will never leave you, never forsake you. So
Yes.
me, it's really about when I want to get closer to God, I will listen to a song that really touched my heart, and it will open up the floodgate for me to really get in tune with the Spirit of God, and to be able to have to communicate with God.
Yes. Music therapy is real. The rhythm of music, the words in music, the sounds. And so just what you said, very significant, what you're listening to, putting some positive in your ear, especially when you're, going through or having some off days, you just feeling a little down. Music
Mhm.
makes a tremendous difference. And so
Absolutely,
I love
absolutely.
that. I love that. We're moving on. In chapter 10, you found out you had sleep apnea.
Mhm.
But I want to move on to chapter 11. Chapter 11 is too much too soon. I started seeing things differently and grew more confident in myself. And so this is so significant. I feel like, for anybody that's out there that's been in relationship and you're holding and harboring anger, this chapter is for you. You said, coming to God changed my life, including how I saw women. I
Mm.
started noticing that things noticing that things that used to matter don't bother me anymore. I stopped hanging out with some people I used to hang out with, not because they were bad people, but because my spirit wasn't driving with their spirit anymore. That makes a tremendous difference. Tremendous difference. But the fact of I started seeing changing how I see women. You've had some, I don't know how I want to say it. some very I guess indifferent feelings, towards women, and especially Black women you talk about in this book. And I think that it's just amazing, the journey that you've come through. But talk a little bit about your relationship, particularly with Black women, and how you've seen them and how you shifted.
Right. And my perspective about Black women started from home.
Yeah.
I was raised with 11 women in a home, including my 5 sisters, aunts and cousins and relatives and so on and so forth. And 90% of my trauma, my wounds, my hurt, my pain come from Black women. Now, anytime that I'll see another Black woman, it's like I see the faces of either my mother, my sisters, my aunts, or whatnot. So I had a very strange relationship with Black women, to say the least, right? So to me, because I was so wounded, because I was so hurt, I feel like, and of course, in my limited mind and an unhealed person, right? I felt like all Black women are the same.
Yeah.
But of course, I didn't come to that understanding that I haven't met all Black women. I will never meet all Black women. So therefore, not all Black women can be the same, right? But
Say
the
that
majority, I have never met all Black women, and I will never meet all Black women. So therefore, not all Black women are the same. But in my limited, wounded little boy's mind, because that's all I've seen, because my environment was nothing but Black women, and Black women, the way they have treated me, I'm like, there can't be any good Black women out there.
Yeah. And
that's something that I had to be delivered from. And till today, I'm 40. I just turned 44 2 days ago. I'm still having, sometimes I have to remind myself, Will, come on now. You're in that journey, and that's one of the reasons why I always tell people you can never be fully healed. Now you can be triggered less and less. Things that used to bother you don't bother you as much, but I don't believe you can be fully healed. But furthermore, I think a lot of people say, well, I want to be healed before I meet a woman or a man or whatnot. There is a last part of the healing process that's going to take somebody else to help you to get to that extra mile, to get to the last, to get to the end zone, right? Yeah. So my strange relationship with women, and I'm still working on that, you know what I mean? And what I thought about women, 4 years ago when I was writing this book, or 3 years ago, I no longer have the same thoughts. I no longer see them the same way, but I still have some residue. I'm gonna be honest. I still have some residue. I still have some things that God has to work through me to help me see Black women are not threat. They are not my competitor. They are just beautiful Black queens that got created. However, there have been a few. Okay, there's always gonna be a few bad apples, right? Yes. There have been a few, but I cannot take the few and make it a generalized thing that all Black women are like that. Now, that's a me problem. So if the Black women that I meet remind me of the hurt, the pain, there are two things. Number one, I still got some healing to do, and number two, I need to change my environment. Yeah, because if I keep running to the same women, the same type of women, it's not their fault. That's right. Their existence are not their fault. It is me that have to do the inner work, and I have to change my environment so I don't keep running to those type of women. Doesn't mean they're bad. They're just not aligned with me, and they're not for me.
Yes. Yes. I love that. The clarification is real.
It has to be
very necessary. Look, the clarification is real and very necessary, but honestly, it is. I don't think that enough conversation is had about the trauma that happens at home, right? That's inflicted. All we do when we, as Black women, when we see a Black man with someone of another race or whatever, we just automatically get an attitude.
Mm,
You
right.
know what I mean? What's wrong with him? Oh, what if he going that way? They can have him. You know, it's all of that negative neck roll type of response.
Right. And especially out here in Montreal, I've seen it a lot. I've seen it a lot.
Right.
So hey, I
Automatic
even
neck roll type of response. We don't know what happened. We don't know the trauma. We don't know the PTSD. We don't know what happened. Love is love wherever you find it. That's how I feel about it anyway. Love is love wherever you find it. But there's so much judgment. There's no accountability as to the conversations that are not being had. That's from, the homes. And some parents, be it those it may, they didn't know what they didn't know. We don't know what we don't know, right? We all learn, and nobody is perfect. There's no perfect parents on this side of heaven.
mhm.
At the same time, nobody is talking about, again, the trauma that some angry Black women, because we're mad at dad or we mad at the whoever and whatever else, or mad at circumstances or whatever else didn't work out, and how it gets taken out on the child. Like all of those things, those conversations are not really being had. That's not the most popular.
No, and they have to be had because what we're doing is we are continuing this generational trauma and
Yes.
generational curse because the buck had to stop with us, and that's the reason why I'm doing the work that I'm doing today, because I didn't want to perpetuate this kind of thinking, mindset, and so on and so forth. And I think those conversations, even though they're hard, even though they're very difficult, even though they're uncomfortable, but we got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because if not, then we're going to continue to perpetuate. And I will hate to get to 50, 60, 70 years old and looking back at this generation coming up and say, my God, what happened to this generation? And I stood by and I did nothing. So for me, that's the reason why I'm doing this work that I'm doing, and I'll do it till my dying day, because I will hate for this to continue, especially in our community. So I think there's a work that needs to be done, and the conversation, we've been having this conversation, especially in the last 4 or 5 years since COVID. We've been having this conversation, but I think it's time for us to pass the conversation and to now to go into action, real concrete action, and that's got to start in our home, in our community, so we can have a ripple effect, and that way it will bleed over to everything else that we do. But we must have this conversation, because we are not willing to have this conversation because it makes us uncomfortable. Well, guess what? Get used to it, because it's not going to be comfortable. It never has been. It's not right now. It never will be. But we have to be able to look at, to call a spade, and to say, you know what, we no longer can kick the can down the road. We can no longer brush things under the rug. It's got to be in the forefront, and we have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's time for us to do that.
Amen. Listen, I'm happy birthday, by the way. You said it was your birthday not 2 days ago. Happy birthday.
Yeah, but 2 days ago. Yeah, I mean, it's 04/44/24. I mean, the fourth month, 10/24, 2024. I don't know what the number 4 has in store for me, but I'm gonna go ahead. I need to figure out exactly what that is, right? But yeah, and I know I don't look a day older than 40, but listen, you know what they say.
Not a day older than 32.
That's right. Black don't cry. But there's another thing that they say. The what is it? The black of the bear? No, not the black. No, the old little. I'm sorry. What was it that saying?
Black of the bird, the sweet of the juice.
Yeah, exactly. The black of the bear, the sweet of the juice. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like a fine wine. I got better with age. There we go. I'm like a fine wine. I got better with age.
Like whispers, huh?
That's it. You already know. So listen, allow me to give myself a little love, because I have criticized myself for so long. So don't take my confidence for cockiness. I'm just loving myself. When people say, "My God, you smell good. What are you wearing?" I say, "Wearing confidence." Call me Mr. Prime Time. Beyonce. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little Deion Sanders on you. What are you wearing, Will? Confidence.
I know that's right. Look, and it smell good on you.
Yeah. What are you wearing? What do you smell so good? I'm wearing confidence.
I love it. I love it, honey. I love it. It's nothing better. There's nothing better. I love it. And confidence, baby. And it looks good on you too, honey. It looks good on you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I thought, look, I'm gonna just throw a penny in it real quick because from the last one to this one, honey, you done got your hair all.
Man, listen, I got my hair done. I didn't get my nails did, but I got my hair done.
I'm like, okay, I see you.
Listen,
all right.
It's good to be seen.
The last time, honey, part 3, we was talking to the wife directly. So he looking sharp for y'all today. So you still looking? Have you found it yet, Will? Have you found it? We still looking?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm working on it. Yes.
I ain't mad at you. I think it's a beautiful thing for men, especially because a lot of times I know, like even myself, I've had some crazy things happen, honey. I retreated from the love thing. I was like, I ain't doing that love stuff no more. But for all the crazy that you have been through that is in this book right here, you could have easily, you know what I mean? Been like, I'm done with that. I'm over it or whatever.
Right.
But to get on that healing journey and to, get on God's train, get on the love train and love up on yourself so that you can come back and exude that love to somebody else. Honey, that's a beautiful thing. I can't wait. I told you last episode, I can't wait for the wedding. I'm coming.
Get your passport ready because in 2 years, this wife is gonna come out. Wherever she's right now under the rock, she's gonna come out in 2 years. Be ready because it's gonna be somewhere by the beach.
I know that's right. Look, I'm ready. Look, I'm ready. Ready. I got my passport. She ready.
Good.
So listen, this is the thing I want to know. Have you been diagnosed with PTSD? I have that in red. Have you been diagnosed with PTSD?
Officially? I never wanted. I've got traits. I've got symptoms, but I never. That's one thing that I never wanted to find out because I believe I'm able to operate the way I'm operating right now, and it's not hurting me. It's not hurting anyone. Yeah. I feel like if I find out, if I do it and I find out, it might do more harm than good. I'm not ready mentally, psychologically. But at some point, that's probably something I'm gonna do. And as you asked me this question, this is something that's just came in my mind. I'll probably do it after I get married, because at least I know that I'll have the support to help me get through that. Yeah. Because right now, I don't think, mentally, spiritually, I don't think that's something I want to find out. But at the same time, is it fair to wait till I get married to find out that I've been diagnosed with PTSD? Is that the end of the world? No. But that woman that I'm going to be married to, I may ask. I'm like, listen, there are some signs that I may have PTSD. Yeah. Do you want me? Here's the reason why I have not gone to do the test. Do you prefer that I do it before we get married, or can I do it afterwards, knowing that I will have the support that I'm going to need? So that's something. Again, you know how I am. I'm very open about my conversation, how I talk. Being vulnerable. That's something I'm going to have to talk to this young lady and to see where we at, because that's something that she's going to have to be dealing with as well. And I don't want to put that burden on her.
And let me say this, because there is a stigma, again, you know what I mean, associated in my mind. I thought to be diagnosed with PTSD that, that meant that you were going to be sitting with a gun, rocking, and the person couldn't sleep next to you, and you might kill them in their sleep or something like that, or you know what I'm saying, or anything like that. But what I know for sure is that when I was your age, I'm about to be 47 in May, but when I was your age, I got tested and I've been diagnosed with PTSD.
Wow.
I had no idea. And I was thinking they sent me because my therapist thought I had adult ADHD.
Okay.
So she's like, I had a lot of traits and everything. And so I was like, okay. So I go for this long extensive 3-hour testing. They come back, nope, no ADHD, but I had wrong letters. I had PTSD. And so I thought they was crazy. I was like, really? I ain't been to the service. Like I ain't had no nothing happened. But PTSD, y'all, post-traumatic stress syndrome means what? That you've been exposed to some trauma, that you've had some things that have happened to you, right? That really were beyond your control and it has affected you. And that when you are experiencing certain things, you may be triggered, right? And
Right.
so knowing what your triggers are is number one for me, because I had no idea. Because you could go into an anxiety attack, you can go into, a different mental state or whatever. And so for me, I was having these just ongoing anxiety attacks and not really knowing why, what was going on. I was losing track of time in the mornings because I was being triggered and I had no idea. And so for me, that's what it is. And so I'm really happy that you said that, because it is that stigma that's associated, like, oh my God, like I am not gonna kill nobody. Like, what does this mean? You know
Right.
what I mean?
Exactly.
And so I think it's even more for a man and for a Black man at that to feel like, oh my God, here's another thing. But for me, it
Another stigma, another label, another
right,
thing I have to identify with, as if I don't have enough that I have to deal with.
right. I'm dealing with
So it's really, it's really that. And talking about ADHD, my son just diagnosed with that. But then again, at this day and age, whenever a little boy can't sit still, for 8 hours and whatnot, I mean, they throw labels on you. But anyway, all that to say, there are some, like I said, there are some signs and behavior and so on and so forth. But then again, I'm not scared. I'm not
yeah,
scared because I'm not gonna let that cripple me from living my life, from living my best life. I'm
right.
actually, I'm at the second, part of my life where I'm just about to live my life now. I mean, since I hit 40, ever
Yeah.
since I hit 40, I feel like it's the second half of my life that I'm living now. And the first half, I did what I did, and now I existed for 40 years. Now I'm
Right.
about to live for another 40 years. And guess what? The best the best things in this life are still ahead of me. So I've got a lot of things to live for.
Definitely.
So I'm looking forward to life, and I think the second half of my life is going to be much better than the first half of my life because of everything that I've been through. And I always say there was no mistakes. There were
Yeah.
missteps, right?
Yeah.
And all the setbacks were set up for a comeback, and I
Yeah.
am coming back, and I'm
Yeah.
seeing the comeback already. So I'm very excited about life, and I'm very excited about the thing that God has in store for me, and I'm excited about the woman that God has in store for me.
I'm
Now
excited.
we want to talk about that. So I got to be healed
Yeah.
to a certain point, and I have to be healthy to meet that woman, to live the life, fulfill the life that God has for me. And I tell you what, I ain't gonna brag, but this woman is gonna have the best version of me, and this woman is gonna be one heck of a woman because she's gonna be spoiled. She's gonna be loved like she's never been loved before. But it's just because I feel so confident in God,
Yes.
the work that I've been doing, and I know, and the fact that I've got 2 marriages under my belt. Not that I'm talking about it from a standpoint of as a badge of honor, but I
Yeah.
know now what not to do anymore and
Yeah.
how to make
Yeah.
sure that I do not repeat the things that I've done in the past. So
Yes.
I'm very excited. I am very excited about the future. I'm very
Yeah.
excited about what's to come. And I just, but at the same time, I want to also live in the present moment as well. So that
Yes.
way I don't just live too far in the future and not experiencing or uh, acknowledging or being grateful for the present moment, because I think that's very important.
It is. And we're gonna close right here because I think this is a good way to close. But what you said about the marriage and wedding bells and that wife and the lessons that you learned, we're going to get into that
Yes.
in the very last episode. But we're gonna. This is chapter 13, and we'll be getting into, and it's called Wedding Bells, honey.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
This
That's
is
gonna
good.
be good.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff. But touching on the spirituality, the growth, it is very evident in you. You know what I mean? Just talking to you, it's very evident in you the growth that has happened. And so I just encourage anybody, like, it's so easy to run away, y'all. It's so easy to run away from the uncomfortable. This is the uncomfortable but necessary conversations that we need to have with who? With you, boo. With yourself, right? Nobody can fix these things for us. Nobody can fix these things for Will. He had to look in the mirror and fix these things for himself. And now, you know, again, instead of just existing, we're on this side of living.
Right.
And how
and not just living, thriving.
Thriving.
That's right.
Thriving. Well, my friend, we've done it again.
yes. And we're gonna be now. We're gonna try to be regular. Now we're gonna give people what they asking for.
Yes.
And I'm glad that we are. You know, we started again, so I'm really looking forward to that. So you and I are gonna be talking out. You know, sometime next week, and we'll see how we can. You know, start this again because I missed it. I miss it, and I think it's gonna help somebody. Even if it's just one person.
Yeah,
that's one person that's gonna start the journey on the healing journey. You know, restoring relationship with themselves, with their partner, with their whatnot. So I think this is necessary, and I want to thank you for your heart and wanted to do this because you don't have to do this, but you choose to do it, and I'm very appreciated. I'm very grateful for you and for taking the time to really to talk about this, because I believe that this is what a community builder looks like. Okay, guys, she didn't call herself community builder just because it sounds good. It sounds, whatever. She is truly a community builder. So if you want to know how to build communities and how to get involved, definitely reach out to Michelle, because I'm telling you, I'm glad that we met. We met about 2 years ago in the Clubhouse. We've never met each other in person, but the bond that we have built and the friendship we have built, the mutual respect we have for one another, it's just beyond anything. So I really do appreciate the work that you're doing in your community, and thank you for bringing me into your world, and also and using your platform to really spread the message, not just only to men, but also to women as well, because any healthy woman wants to be with a man. Yes. And the best way to know about a man is not to talk to your girlfriend, especially anyway, but talk to a man, listen to a man. They're not, and be careful who you listen to, because if this man is speaking or operating from a trauma place, trust me, you're gonna hit every man. But find a man, find a man that you can trust, right?
On the solo, wait a minute. Look,
you know what I'm saying?
Say it again.
There we go. I know him. His name is Will Baptist. I know a man that he will be honest, open, and transparent about his past, where he's at, and what he aspired to do. And listen, if it's not me, let it be somebody else. But whatever you got to do, please find. If you're a woman, please find a man. If you want to know more about men, if you're a man, you're struggling, please, whether it's me or somebody else, however you get the job done, please do get it done. Because I believe when our men heal, our community heal. And when our community heal, then we'll live more peace within ourselves or people around us.
Yes. Beautiful, friend. Beautiful. Look, I had to give you the solo for that one.
I appreciate that.
I'm like, go ahead, take the floor.
I appreciate that.
My good friend, tell them how to find you.
Thank you.
Social media handles. Tell them how they can find you, and any last words, honey.
Well, listen, you can't miss me. I am on TikTok, LinkedIn now. I've been using LinkedIn and Facebook a lot, but listen, either on the Will Baptist or Will to Rise, you cannot miss me, because I'm all up on your business. You know what I'm saying? I'm like the uncle that's on every party, every family reunion. So you cannot miss me. I've got a voice. I want to use it, whether it's through my videos or my posts. Find me Instagram, Facebook, anywhere there's a platform, you will find me. Will Baptist or Will to Rise, one and the same. They're all mutually exclusive. So go ahead, give me a follow. I'm on YouTube, Will to Rise as well. So you cannot miss me, which means you have no excuse.
That's right. That's right, honey. And the best believe you want to follow this man, honey. You want to get some good information. He has some great questions, sometimes controversial questions, but you know,
Yep.
it'll make you think about some things. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
that's what we're doing today. Okay. But nonetheless, beautiful spirit doing work in the community. So grateful for you coming onto the platform and allowing me to dissect this book. It has been my honor and my pleasure. And so we will continue, guys. We have chapter 13, The Wedding Bells is what we'll be at. I never told her why I wanted to marry her so fast. Ooh, we're going to get into it.
Yes.
Look, we're going to get into it.
Yes.
Until next time.
All right.
It is your girl, Michelle Franklin, honey, Miss D.I. Mrs. Divine Intervention, honey. There are no coincidences in this world. Only God's divine intervention in your life. And Miss Community Builder. Why? Because you know your girl is always giving you the good information, honey. The things you need for your mind, your body, your spirit, and your emotions. And you know you need to know Mr. Will Baptiste, honey, in 2024. So go on over there and give my man a follow, honey. Yes. All right, babe. Until next time.
Will is out.
Look, what's